The future is incredibly exciting. Here's why you shouldn't at all be depressed and rather be quite happy looking forward to the next 100 years. 1. The present is much better than the past. If you zoom back about 100 years from whenever you are, you're going to notice that things are worse. More people are hungry, more people are without housing or work. They're scavenging around the land increasingly as you go further back. It gets wilder and wilder until you're in full-on animal state. So in the present 21st century, you're present, I'm in the 22nd. In the 21st century, you still have people without houses and people without food and people without running water and electricity, but you have far fewer of those people than you did 100 years prior. And if you go back a few hundred years, I mean, it's like incomprehensibly better. So the world has gotten much, much better to the present. And sort of staggeringly and confusingly, not a lot of people know this. Might be weird if you are the kind of person who knows this. Lots of people don't. If you ask a room of people, has poverty gotten slightly worse, slightly better, much worse, or much better in the last, say, 100 years? Only about 1% of people are going to get it right, and the answer is that it's gotten much better. Poverty has gotten much better. But something like 70% of people think it's gotten worse, which is just, wrong. So the world has been getting much better. And that's good evidence that it will continue to do so. Even in periods of conflict, the world has continued to, continue its technological advances, which in turn have led to life-saving treatments. And that leads us to, number 3. We'll skip it for right now. Number 2, the world is finally taking global warming seriously. This is a huge problem. For a long time, it wasn't the case that the world was on board and doing its absolute best. And it's still not doing its absolute best, but it's doing a lot more than nothing, which is what it used to do about this problem. So if you're watching in say, the 2020s, you're already basically at the tipping point of fossil fuels and green energy. So you're heading into this new world, new paradigm where you're not burning lots of stuff to do everything. Peak oil, aka. You're not quite there yet, and there are lots of technologies that have to be perfected to get, say, like cement manufacture and steel melting and nitrogen production up to snuff in green ways. And we've got videos about that. We can maybe put them in the place, you can go find them, or just research this stuff yourself. But you are well on the way toward a fully green economy. The United States is investing billions, literally hundreds of billions of dollars in this. People around the world are investing hundreds of billions of dollars. This tech is finally on the horizon of taking off. Now, what that doesn't mean is that everything's just going to be fine. No, about 2 billion people are going to be relocated as a result of climate and weather and water changes owing to global warming. There will be some serious problems to confront, including desertification and drought and access to water, and on the other end, too much water and relocating because of floods which damage crops. There is a lot of pain to suffer through, okay? It's not going to be easy. There will be extreme weather. Millions of people will die. It's not fine, but what it is on track for, by the end of your century, a significantly better place than it would have been if you'd done nothing. And you now, in the 2020s, 30s, or whatever, have reached a point where you finally have averted some of the absolute worst case total fire tornado circumstance. There will actually still be fire tornadoes, but it won't be like the whole world is an inferno. So, number 3, that's a really big deal. A lot of people are really concerned about global warming, and totally understandably so. They don't want to raise children in a world that's falling apart. They are worried about the refugees. They are worried about the geopolitical destabilization. There's a lot to worry about. So I just want to put your mind at ease. It's not fine, but it's getting significantly better. And everyone alive in the 21st and early 2nd century, can help make these outcomes as good as possible by digging in, rolling up our sleeves, and making changes in our lives and around us that can move the world in a better direction. Okay, fine. 3, the exciting one, or also the boring one if you already know a lot of stuff about this kind of field. Exciting emerging tech. AI and synthetic biology primarily. AI is going to help humans solve basically every problem. It's going to be sort of like a parent to a child who goes, what's that? What's that? Why is this? Why is that? Why is this? And you're already, when you think about it, doing a basic version of this with Google. Did you know that every day about 25% of the Google searches have never been searched before? That's because humanity as a conscious group intelligence is probing the edges of knowledge. And it's also because, you're changing the syntax of your requests based on your expertise with Google and your understanding of how search algorithms work. But the point is, you're pressing forward, and AI is going to help you do that exponentially better. For example, the DeepMind protein folding software that allows you to go, what shape is this protein? And bang, the AI can just tell you instead of multiple years of lab research. I mean, that is just unfathomably humongous, and it's just one example of the way the world is going to change when humans can just ask AI what the answer is and sort of use calculator level intelligence for all the problems on the human plate. And that leads inevitably to the really big one, which is synthetic biology. If you could wave a calculator wand and fix one big thing in human life, it would be life and the limits there too, right? You don't want to get sick. You don't want to die from some silly accident. You want to repair human bodies as well and effectively and easily as possible. And you want to expand the life of the ones you love to richly fulfilling extra decades. If you don't have to go, then why go? And of course, there will always be death, and we will always say goodbye to people we love. It's like a profound, meaningful part of life. It doesn't give life meaning, but it is a place in life where we recognize meaning, because it is through loss that we recognize the depth of our connections to each other and how much they mean to ourselves. You don't think about that all that much, but the people in your life do make up a significant part of how you feel about yourself. And on that note, you mean an absolutely enormous amount to me. The fact that you are still, for some reason, watching this is just like a humongous soul bond that we have. I'm really grateful for it. Thank you so much. If you have like a comment or a question or a concern, I'd love to address it. Go ahead and please just type that in, and we'll interface through this time vortex and talk about why we should all act healthily so that in the next 10 years, as we start to reach life extension escape velocity, we'll all be healthy enough to take advantage of it and move into a future where we can edit our bodies at will. And we'll talk about that a little more in a future episode. The future is really, really good. I hope this will just be part one of a long series, because ultimately at its heart, the show wants to be about this. This is the mission of Future History, to talk about why we should look forward to the future and not just worry about it all the time. Okay, I hope you have a lovely future afternoon or evening or morning, and I'll talk to you some other time. Thank you. Bye.